In this video, I'm going to go over the parts of the TurboCAD program window. At the very top on the left side is what I call the title bar. This tells you what year and version of TurboCAD you are using. If you go all the way over to the right side, you will see the minimize button, the maximize or restore button, and then where it's highlighted red is the close button. And that's to minimize, maximize, restore, and close the whole entire program window. If you do that and you have drawings that are not saved and you try to close out of the program window, it's going to prompt you to save your drawings. Right below that, we have another minimize, maximize / restore and close icon. That is to close the active drawing that we have open without closing the whole entire window. If I start a new drawing again, right below the title bar is what I call the file or drop down menus. These drop down menus allow us to gain access and use almost any tool or feature in the program through these various menus. Below that is a toolbar. If we need to activate or turn on toolbars, if we click in the toolbar area in the blank space of the toolbar area where there is no toolbar and right click, we bring up Customize in the Toolbars tab. This allows us to turn on and off toolbars that have various tools and features on them. For example, I'm going to activate the Copy toolbar. So under C, Copy, well, it's already turned on, but I am going to, for the sake of this discussion, turn that off. A lot of times when you turn on toolbars for the very first time, they'll be as you see it here. This is a floating toolbar. It's not latched on to a specific spot on the program window. It floats around the screen. You can what they call dock a toolbar to put it on a specific spot in reference to your other toolbars. And so I can drag and dock this up at the top. I can drag and dock it at the left, on the right, or on the bottom. And I'm going to close it by clicking on that small black X. Well, I got to close out of this. But if for some reason a toolbar does not appear on the screen that you are needing to use and you're wondering where the heck did it go to, one of the ways you can check to see what happened is it's always possible it may not even be displayed on the screen. And by right-clicking in this open space, I can check to see if the toolbar I'm needing to use is displayed. For example, this toolbar here that has New file, open file, save, undo, redo, repeat command, zoom in, zoom out, so forth. That is called the standard toolbar. And so if I check and see that it's disappeared, it might be that I don't have it turned on. And sometimes you may have the need to turn something back on. A special is not really a per se toolbar, but down towards the bottom is something called the inspector bar. And I can turn that on and off as well. The inspector bar is very important because as we're working with tools and features, it allows us to enter precise coordinates and values. And that's another thing that there might come a time where, for whatever reason, maybe that has disappeared and you're wondering where that has went to. If you right click and then open up this customized toolbars and then find under I, the inspector bar, you can turn that back on if that has disappeared. Below that is what they call, I gotta think of the word for it, the status bar. The status bar, as we're activating tools, the status bar is going to give us important information that aids us in knowing how to work with the tool we have open and constantly presents us with various pieces of information. Off to the left side here, we have a toolbar of tools, and it has a series of icons, but notice, kind of hard to see, but really small in the corner is a black triangle. What that means is that's actually a group of tools. So if I click line, for example, it's going to pop open a pop-up menu that has various line tools and other tools. And these are groups of tools. And so when you click on these icons, for the most part, you may not be activating an actual tool, but you may be opening up a group of tools. And then if you click on an icon further in this menu, it's going to activate a tool. If for some reason you need to deactivate a tool so that you don't have a tool active, I'm going to first draw a line on the screen here, but if I don't want this line tool to be active anymore, I can simply hit the space bar and it deactivates the tool, and then I can click objects on the screen. If I have an object selected and I no longer want it selected, I can simply hit escape. Now over on this right side, I have another toolbar with more tool groups and icons. These are a series of modify icons, and then next to that are icons that coordinate with what they call tool palettes. Tool palettes we'll get into later on in these series of videos, but they are ways to interact with other features and tools and whatnot of the software program, but we're not going to get into that right at this time. And so I just wanted to point out these different parts of the program window. You have the toolbar up here. I mean, not the toolbar, but the title bar. You have your drop down menus where you access all the different tools. On top and on the left and right side, and sometimes on the bottom, you'll have various toolbars. If you right click in the toolbar area, in an open space area of the toolbars, you can bring up customized toolbars to toggle toolbars on and off. Something we'll get into a little later on, but if I select a item on the screen or I have a tool activated, as you can see, we have something called the properties bar. The properties bar allows us to change for the active tool or the items we have selected what layer that tool is on, what color that object or tool is going to draw, your line type thickness, your pen color for like hatches, and then your hatch pattern type. And we're going to get into that a little later on. One thing that is completely new to TurboCAD 2025 is something called the tool search. If you see on this in this toolbar area, if you see a white search box with a black drop down arrow, that is called the tool search. And if you're not seeing that, I'm going to show you how you can bring that up onto the screen. And so I'm going to drag this and then turn it off. And then for this, because it's a tool, we're going to go to the tab that says Commands, and then we're going to go to Find, and I'm going to type in Tool Space Search. And then I'm going to click one of these arrows here. I might have to remove the space. Type in Tool here to bring it up. For some reason, thought it was under Toolbars. For some reason, I'm not seeing it. That's weird. I'm going to type in search here. Well, in that case, I'm going to go to Options and Load From and reload the layout. For some reason, it disappeared. And I wasn't able to bring it back. But I'm not seeing what that is labeled as. Oh, find command. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, I'm gonna turn this off. What I was trying to say here is in TurboCAD 2025, a new feature they added is called Find Command, or another way you can think of it is Tool Search. If you're not seeing that on your screen, if you right click to bring up toolbars, if you go to F, Find Command, you can then add this to your layout. What Find Command does, if there's a tool you want to use and you know the name of the tool, instead of trying to fish around and find the icon or find where it is in those menu bars, you can type it in the search line. And depending on what your search term is, you might have a lot of different entities pop up. But this allows you to search and find any tool, pretty much any tool or command, without having to try to locate the icon. And once you find what you're looking for, you can click on it to activate your tool. And so in the next video, I'm going to illustrate the different line tools.